Hello folks, today we're gonna re-record some Merle Haggard using the Behringer X Air X-18. Hello folks, this is your friend Cesar Benzoni. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. As you already know, this channel is all about musical instruments, recording gear and country music. Of course, a lot of things we talk here you can use for other genres. And if you like this kind of content, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell so you've been notified of all the upcoming videos. We're having videos every Monday. And today we're gonna re-record the Merle Haggard's classic Mama Tried. I'm gonna use as an interface this guy here, that is the Behringer X-18. I wanted to record with this one as an interface because it is a mixing desk, a digital mixing desk, and it's used a lot for live purposes, for concerts, but it's a fully functioned interface. I don't see many people talking about it as an interface, but it's really good. I recorded a few albums with it and I wanted to show you. So I recorded a full song from start to finish only using the Behringer X Air X-18. This is not gonna be a tutorial on how to use the desk, but I'm gonna do a brief introduction for you. It has 16 preamps, main outputs, RCA input and RCA output, headphone output, 6 auxiliary sends. It has a Wi-Fi router inside of it, but you can add an external router for bigger venues if you're doing live gigs, and the USB, and that's where we're going to use it as an interface here. This desk allows you to record processing through its own EQs, compressors, gates, but that's not my idea today. Today I'm gonna record, as I use an interface, I record everything clean and I add all the processing in my computer in the box. All of these preamps are MIDAS preamps. Great quality preamps. And the great thing about this is that it's pretty affordable. It sells for about 450, depends on where you are, 450 euro or dollars. But I mean, you have 16 channels. That's unimaginable. That's a great price for what you get from it. And the song Mama Tried was released in '68 by Merle Haggard. And I wanted to kind of copy that, the vibe, the way they recorded in the 60s. I didn't do a deep study on how this song was recorded, but I was listening and try to guess what they did, and I tried to adapt my miking techniques and the microphones, my mic choicing towards that era. If you listen to the original song, you realize there is a guitar strumming the chords on the right side, and that's the guitar I started with. So the strumming guitar, I used my RDT, my Recording King RDT-16, which the review of that guitar you can see here in the cards. And I recorded that with a warm audio microphone, the WA-47 Junior. It is a kind of a clone of the classic U-47, but it is a fat microphone, transformerless version of it. It sells for about $300 or 300 euros, and it's a great microphone. The K47 capsule gives a different texture, a bit less bright. It has a great character to it. So I recorded the guitars with this microphone.
Freight train, live in town, not knowing where I'm bound. No one could change my mind, but Mama tried.
The second guitar I recorded actually is the first guitar that you hear in the song. That is probably, I don't know if it's a parlor, it's a kind of a darker sound. I don't know if it's a parlor or if it's a dobro, but I recorded with my Recording King parlor from the Dirty 30 series, which the review you can also see here in the cards. Almost all of the instruments I used in this recording, I did a review on those instruments. So you can see them all here in the channel. For this guitar, I also used the Warm Audio 47 Junior.
First thing I remember knowing was the lonesome whistle blowing, and a younger stream of growing up to ride.
Then the next thing I recorded was the bass. I used the Harley Benton Precision with a short neck. And a cool feature of this desk is that channel number 1 and number 2 are high Z, or high Z. So if you put a jack cable on it, it will automatically become a high Z and you can record your instrument straight on. As this bass was kind of representing a bass that's played in the 60s, it doesn't have much attack in this recording, you just have that. So I use an Ampeg amp simulator and I try to pick with my thumb, muting kind of the strings so I wouldn't have much resonance. I would just have the boom, 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 boom.
And a younger stream of growing up to ride on a freight train living town.
Next thing I recorded was the electric guitar. I used my Mexican Telecaster with Lindy Frailing pickups, which you can see the review here in the cards. With the guitar as well, I went from the guitar straight to the high Z input. And then in the computer, I used the Line 6 Helix, which is a plugin with amp simulators, pedals, cab simulators. You can load impulse response. It's a really great plugin. And I recorded using the simulation of a Fender Deluxe amp with that lovely spring reverb. Next thing I recorded was the lead vocal. And I used a ribbon mic. The model is M3 and the brand is Old Box. Old Box is a brand based in Brazil and all of their microphones are carefully handmade and fantastic sounding microphones. And I received mine just a few weeks ago, so that was the first actual recording I did that. I'll leave the link for Old Box microphones here in the description.
The first thing I remember knowing was a lonesome whistle blowing and a younger stream of growing up to ride on a freight train living town, not knowing where I'm bound. No one could change my mind, but Mama tried.
And then last but not least, I recorded the background vocals and I went back to the Warm Audio 47 Junior because I didn't want the same tone for the lead vocals in the background vocals. I wanted the background vocals to shine a bit more and kind of surrounds the main vocal. So the 47 gave me that texture I wanted.
21 in prison doing life without parole. Mama tried to raise me better, but her pleading I denied. That leaves only me to blame, 'cause Mama tried.
And then in the next day, we recorded drums. I had the pleasure of recording with my great friend Lorenzo Moscoso. And I went to his practice room and we set up a few microphones around his drums. As well with this track, I didn't want to put loads of mics, so I put only 3. One was a Samson from my Samson drum kit in the kick drum. I put it kind of close. I didn't want much attack. I wanted it to match the bass in that same oomph, oomph, oomph. For the snare, I used the classic Shure SM57, pointing to the center of the snare, but in an angle as well to avoid a bit of the bleed from the hi-hat. And then the third mic, which is, I think it's the majority of the sound of the kit that you hear, it's as well the Warm Audio 47 Junior. It's a mono overhead, so I put kind of facing Lorenzo, a bit above his head, slightly tilted towards the snare. So I would get loads of the hi-hat, I would have loads of the snare, and I as well would have the ride, but without it being too splashy because it wasn't directly picking. When it was straight facing the snare, the ride was too clicky, you know? You would hear his conduction like a... So I didn't want that, so just a small tilt towards the snare, and that clickiness was gone.
She tried so very hard to feel his shoes.
It was great to have Lorenzo as well, because he is a drummer and a sound engineer, so we could experiment, we could go over the mic techniques while we were recording, and he likes older techniques as well, so it was great to have him on the session. So it was a pretty minimalistic setup. I didn't use all those 16 preamps. I use mainly the first, the second, and the third one, which was with the drums what I use. And the gain, the volume is controlled inside the X Air app called X Edit, and I was logged into the desk Wi-Fi. And after having the clean signals, as it is a vintage recording, I used loads of vintage emulation preamps, like saturating the preamps, like the Sound Toys radiator, loads of tape distortion as well, some with this late digital tape, some with the J37 from Waves. And I think the results were pretty close to the original, mainly showing you the potential of recording at home and using an affordable equipment like the Behringer X Air X-18. I'm not saying that recording at home it's easy. You need to study, you need to know the techniques, and you need to know your equipment and get the best out of everything. The full video on the song you will see next week here on my channel. If you have any doubts, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you like content like this, and if you want to work with me, if you want me to produce your song or to record guitars, mandolin, background vocals, lead vocals in your song, hit me a message on yodelstudio.com. That's pretty much it. I hope you have a great day and see you next time.